We've beat Ireland. We've beat Finland. We are never, ever going to lose a game of football ever again. Ever. Lee Carsley starts as England manager with 2 wins, 2 goals per game and 2 clean sheets. There was an awful lot to like about the 2 performances over this international break, with Carsley offering a fresh take on a set of players who were playing under a new manager for the first time in 8 years. England built in a 3-2-5 when in possession, a shape familiar to many of the top teams in club football, with Trent Alexander-Arnold not only starting international games of football, but also inverting inside to join Kobbie Mainoo or Angel Gomez in the heart of midfield. This allowed Declan Rice to push higher and join the front 5, as he marauded around opposition penalty areas, selflessly offering supporting runs out wide, or popping up in the box himself to score a goal, with Saka and Gordon providing pace, guile and a willingness to hold width and run in behind. Harry Kane suddenly looked really good again. Who could have foreseen before Euro 2024 that playing a number 10 out wide would hamper his game so badly? Yes, who could have seen it? The revisionism around Southgate's time in charge has already begun, of course. Everyone seems to have forgotten that Southgate himself recorded impressive wins against poor opposition once upon a time. But after 8 years, it must be said that Lee Carsley's refreshing take on the England formula was fun, and the manner in which England won was exciting. While yes, it was just Ireland, it was just Finland, and you do wonder if we'll be thinking about old Southgate's defensive structure as Mbappe and Griezmann run totally unopposed at Konza and Stones rather than Keskinen and Timo Pukki. Alas, you can only beat what's in front of you, and convincingly beat them is what Lee Carsley did. Unless a certain someone were to suddenly become available after the conclusion of a certain club's trial regarding a certain 115 charges, you must think that Lee Carsley is the frontrunner for the job and has passed his audition as England manager with flying colours. And if we were talking about club football, that would probably be the end of it. If we were talking about any other footballing nation, that would probably be the end of it. But we're talking about English football, and we're talking about the England national team, and so there is a whole other equally important side that Carsley, Pep Guardiola, or whoever becomes the next permanent manager will have to be prepared to handle. Let's cast our minds back and reminisce on the old Southgate era to get a better understanding of what's in store. And no, unfortunately, I don't mean Trippier's free kick versus Croatia or Kane's goal to knock out the Germans. The following is a list of topics that Southgate had to answer for during his time as England manager. Where's Ben White? Where's Mason Greenwood? Where's Raheem Sterling? What about Ivan Toney's gambling ban? What about Manchester United? How do you feel about England fans booing their own team? How do you feel about England fan behaviour abroad? How do you feel about proposed changes to the international football calendar? How do you feel about FIFA wanting to host a World Cup every 2 years? Are you just lucky? But okay, this is all mostly on-pitch stuff, an awful lot of headaches for the manager to deal with, but we're still mostly talking about the football and how the team plays on the pitch. But that's not the end of the list. How do you feel about Qatar hosting the World Cup? How do you feel about the players wearing the One Love armband? How do you feel about the moralities of players playing in Saudi Arabia? Protests in Iran? The UK's involvement in Afghanistan? Coca-Cola? White privilege? Racism? Black Lives Matter? Human rights? LGBTQ? Do you have any advice for the Prime Minister? St George's Cross is purple on the New England kit. Are you outraged? The Queen is dead. Quick, say something. What does it mean to be English? And when will Sega finally give us Sonic Adventure 3? Okay, not that last one. While every manager at club level is tasked with the responsibility of answering questions regarding their own players and the results on the pitch, being England manager requires a whole extra level of responsibility and duty. Not only do you have to front questions about your own players, your own team, and the performance on the pitch, but the England manager must also act as a figurehead for the country and is required to comment on every hot topic issue, whether you're qualified to or not. Maybe due to the ill feelings large portions of the population have felt towards the government for the best part of the last 15 years, more and more have the public turned to the England manager to look for answers. It's weird to think about, but I genuinely think I've heard more about UK foreign policy in the Middle East from the manager of the football team than I have from 6 prime ministers combined over the last 14 years. Simply put, if you're the England manager, not only must you win every single game of football and win an international trophy, something that hasn't been done for the past 58 years, but you also must act as a soundboard and a figurehead in regards to the state of the nation and the issues, both past and present, that we face. After Southgate stepped down from his post following Euro 2024, there was a press briefing stating that while the FA were open to foreign candidates, the preferred option to replace him would be another Englishman. This was criticised by many, especially those who aren't supporters of the England national team. Is the English FA dumb? Everyone knows there are no good English managers, just go out and get a good foreign one. And while this logic would apply for any other position, in all honesty, I can see where the FA are coming from. Can you really imagine Thomas Tuchel sat there in a pre-match press conference, 3 Lions branded tracksuit adorned, as he has to answer questions about British relations with the Middle East or the cost of living crisis? Interestingly, it's only in the football does this phenomenon seem to occur. In cricket, England's second sport, the national side are nowhere near as spotlighted or as pedestaled to the degree in which the football side are. Of course, the team are still under immense pressure and scrutiny for the results out on the field, but the responsibility of being a representation for every aspect of the nation is missing. In 2021, the T20 Cricket World Cup was hosted across various places in the United Arab Emirates, and not once was Captain Owen Morgan asked to explain English foreign policy or ethical or moral complexities of playing cricket in the Middle East. Speaking of Owen Morgan, there was never truly an issue of the Dublin-born man not only going on to play international cricket for England, but to captain them across both white ball formats, thick Irish accent, or otherwise. Then again, I guess it's all an easier debate to be had when you're double world champions, or maybe just no one really cares about cricket. The harsh reality is that being England manager means you also become one of the most important leaders in the country, and one that will be required to speak up on issues above your pay grade and to voice concerns when you think they need to be voiced. And while a subsection of the English public were rubbed the wrong way by Southgate's squeaky clean and liberal politics, some even labelling the team with the dreaded W word, for the most part, this is something that Southgate excelled at handling, relentlessly backing his players, not shying away from awkward politics and cultural issues, and continuously attempting to push forward England as the modern, tolerant, multicultural nation that it truly is. Although, of course, the general public could never truly know the man sat behind a table or stood out in the dugout, by all accounts, Southgate, throughout his tenure, came across as a proud Englishman and a decent man with decent values. An incredibly important part of the job, whether you like it or not. You could argue that I'm overstating the importance of it all, Ultimately, if England win on the pitch, then everyone is happy, and no one will ever begrudge the England manager for saying the wrong thing in the media if he actually brings football home. And while the team is playing well, and while the team is winning, I admit that the sideshow around the national team becomes less important. But there is just so much noise around the England team, both on and off the field, it's honestly hard to describe if you're not already aware of it. When the major tournaments arrive, the England team is more than just a 26-man squad wearing white. It becomes a canvas for people to project their idea of Englishness onto, as complex and as personal a concept as that may be. So what happens when the team isn't playing well? And what happens if the team doesn't win? All football teams, even the best ones in the world, go through phases where games are tough, performances can labour, and results don't always go the way you want them to. Across past tournaments and past managers, there is a laundry list of scandals and distractions surrounding the England team at vital moments, most of them relating to issues off the pitch. In response to having to deal with questions that they were, in all fairness, not qualified to talk about, many previous England managers simply tried to shut the door on the media, to speak to them as little as possible, and to block out the noise that way. Unfortunately, in doing so, the media became more determined than ever to destroy the team at any chance they could. Southgate opening the door and improving relations with the English newspapers was something that, in a just world, he shouldn't have had to do, but in the real world was worth it for the benefits it provided in improving the national team's relationship with the news and, in turn, the national team's relationship with the public. Now the door is open, I don't foresee it being closed again. All in all, Southgate could always fall back on the fact that, for the most part, across his 8-year stay, he handled the off-pitch issues extremely well. So much so that it became expected of him to go above and beyond his predecessors in this regard, as he was forced to wade in on complex societal and economical issues way above his job role of managing a football team. In doing so, he became incredibly popular with the public, and the public were proud of the team on the pitch, win, lose or draw. Will the next England manager have the same luxury to fall back on? Lee Carsley is only 2 games in to his interim managerial role, and he's already had a taste of some of the madness. As a man of Irish and English descent, he's already had to field questions regarding the history between the nations and the concept of personal national identity we are all obsessed with on this batshit island of ours. He's already had to field questions about Ben White, Mason Greenwood, and before a ball was even kicked under his tenure, the Daily Mail had already called for his sacking over his refusal to sing the national anthem, which must be the most Daily Mail and the most England thing all at once. It's clear that Carsley knows his tactics. It's clear that Carsley knows how to win football matches and win international tournaments. It's clear that Carsley loves football and loves coaching. Before his first game in charge away in Ireland, Carsley was the one running about and putting out the cones before England's warm-up in Dublin. His passion for the 90 minutes out on the pitch is unquestionable, but that's only half the battle, and off the pitch, it's only going to get worse. There's an international window coming up in November, so you can expect vitriolic furore regarding whether or not he wears a poppy and the perceived implications if he decides not to wear one at the very least. Who knows what else is coming down the line. Carsley has started his spell as interim manager of England well. A fresh face in the dugout has brought with it some fresh tactics, some fresh players, and an excitement around the future of the national team post-Southgate ball, which in truth was probably well past its due-by date by the time Euro 2024 rolled around. That side of the role doesn't worry me, and still wouldn't worry me if the permanent position was handed to Potter, Howe or Pep Guardiola himself. However, winning games for England is only half the battle, burdened with the responsibility and culpability that exceeds any club team and the vast majority of all other international teams in football. Managing England is not, and never has been, just how you get the team playing on the pitch. Whether you like it or not, in many respects, you've got to lead the nation off the pitch as well. Well, Lee, you've got through Ireland. Good job there. All that's left is Wales and, of course, Scotland. And then the Germans, and then Australia, and then Argentina. Also, the Iranians don't like us, or the Albanians, or the Danes, or the Italians, or the French. But, apart from all of those,